Hi, my name's Claire Hartman from the Positive Mind family, and today I just wanted to share with you a little bit about me and my story and my reasons for obviously wanting to share my story with you guys. So I was thinking about this and I was thinking, how far back do I go? It goes back quite a while. I'm 42 now, so it's quite a lot of things have gone on in my life. It's not been an easy journey, but I'm in quite a good place now, which is cool. So if I go back to the beginning, near enough, I'm one of 3 children when I was growing up. My mum and dad split up when I was 6. It didn't have a massive impact on me, so it's quite common nowadays, parents divorcing. But my mum remarried and went on to have my brother. My sister lived with my dad. Myself and my twin sister lived with my mum. My twin sister, when from the age of 13, got in a relationship with the man she ended up marrying. So she spent most of her time out and about with him. I tended to be a little bit more of a home buddy, so I spent quite a bit of time with my mum. And then my brother came along, and I must admit, my nose was a little bit put out of joint, but my mum was happy. Then myself and my mum had a very close relationship. She ended up divorcing my stepdad for various reasons, and I was quite close to her at the time, and like to think that I helped her through some of that as well. Then myself and my twin sister, we were working at the same place. We were very, very close. We had a lot of the same group of friends. My other sister, she was in a relationship as well. So they've both been with their partners since they were very, very young. Whereas I was always been a little bit different. Had several boyfriends, several relationships. Was never satisfied with the people that I was with. Was always looking for more. Not prepared to put up with too much rubbish for too long. I've had quite a few terrible, disastrous relationships, but never more than 3 or 4 years, and then always realised that it wasn't right and got out of them. So then I met the man of my dreams eventually. It took me quite a while. I was always known as Cruella de Vil around children until I was in my 30s. Then I got the broody stage, and fortunately I met the man of my dreams when I was 32. Devlin, it was a completely eyes across the room moment. Totally fell in lust or love, whatever you call it, from the moment we met, which was great. I knew straight away everything was just right. Everything seemed right, despite the fact that I held quite a lot of emotional baggage, despite the fact that he was still living, even though separated, in the same house as his ex-wife. The first year was quite difficult, but we both knew that it was right and we were meant to be together. So that was fantastic. Then we came to the stage, he had a very difficult divorce, and we came to the stage where he had to, I had to give him a bit of an ultimatum, because I knew that in my life I wanted children. We're here for a reason, and I think part of that is to procreate and bring children into this world. And I'd always envisaged myself having at least one child further down the line. Even though I wasn't a massively maternal person, I always wanted my own children at some stage. And even though I'd had several jobs and worked quite hard and was known as the career-orientated, ambitious one in the family, I only did it as a means to an end, because I liked to go on holiday and I had a nice flat that I needed to pay the mortgage for. So when Devlin came along and we completely fell in love, and we got to the stage where I had to give him a choice to either want to have more children, because he already had a 6-year-old daughter, or to end the relationship, because I didn't want to waste the rest of my life. I wasn't getting any younger. I was in my 30s, and I knew it had to be right. So fortunately enough, he decided that he did want some children, so that was cool. So it wasn't easy. I got pregnant in the first month, but then lost that baby, and then it took me another 9 months to get pregnant again. And in that time I was completely desperate to have a child. Once I'd made my mind up, once Devlin made his mind up, I was desperate to be a mum. All I wanted was to be a stay-at-home mum and look after my baby. And I must have spent a fortune on pregnancy testing kits, and the really expensive ones as well, because I was desperate to have a baby. And then lucky enough, I did fall pregnant, and I hated being pregnant. Oh my goodness me, I hated it. It was quite a stressful time in my life anyway. My twin sister had split up from her husband, and she'd turned to drink and drugs and was running away from home, and there was lots of stressful things going on with her. I was in a job that I hated, which I eventually gave up, and then we were moving house as well, so that we were doing up the house. So it wasn't probably the easiest period to get pregnant in, but I've always been quite a strong character and believed that I could do anything, and that what was the big deal when having a baby? Everybody does it, it's not a big deal. So I carried on regardless, despite my sister's warnings that you must be nuts moving whilst pregnant. We spent the most of my pregnancy doing the house up. We had a new roof fitted, which leaked in the middle of the night whilst I was heavily pregnant, so water gushing down the ceiling. We also had a new bathroom fitted, and the chap who was fitting our bathroom absconded to Spain on a murder charge, which was pretty interesting, and left us with an unfinished bathroom. So I was again heavily pregnant, having to use the toilet on the landing, which was quite interesting at the time. Then whilst I was ringing up, because my husband was working, so I was doing all the chasing around and everything to do with the workmen, ringing up to try and get our bathroom fixed. His delightful mother threatened to come and do me over, which was quite stressful when you're pregnant. So there was quite a lot going on. Then the house we were originally going for fell through. So again, we lost the house we wanted to get initially. We couldn't get the funds to get a bridging loan to help with that. So that's when I started having panic attacks. That's when things got quite stressful. That's when my sister was in the middle of the night ringing me, running away from home and being found at the hospital and having her stomach pumped and lying to us and making up elaborate stories, ringing me up and saying she'd met somebody who was a millionaire, and she was just lots of things, you couldn't trust her, she was stealing. So that was quite a difficult time whilst I was heavily pregnant as well. Then I started having these panic attacks. And found it quite difficult, quite stressful. I wasn't sleeping. I was really heavily pregnant in the last 3 months, so I had a lot on my mind, a lot of stress about the house, a lot of stress about being pregnant, a lot of stress about my sister, and I didn't sleep very well at all, probably for the last 3 months of my pregnancy. So then the day came. I was desperate to get this baby out, absolutely desperate. I tried everything. I went on long walks, I went shopping, I had hot curries, I took raspberry leaf tea, I crab walked up and down the stairs, just everything you could do to get this baby out. I was absolutely desperate not to be pregnant anymore. And then eventually I did go into labour. I was taken to the hospital with my husband, now husband, wasn't husband at the time, it was my partner. And I remember I just couldn't relax. I was just completely anxious about the whole thing. They gave me pethidine. My husband slept in the chair next to me, and I was just wide awake, just totally stressed out. I hadn't slept for days. And then I gave birth. It was a fairly normal birth compared to some people, so I was quite lucky. I did have an episiotomy, which I didn't want, which wasn't very great. But I do remember when they handed me my baby, it just completely wasn't like how I'd seen it, how I imagined it, a joyful moment, passing my baby over to me. I was just completely overwhelmed, in shock. And the responsibility just rolled over me and just blew me away. And I just remember him coming towards me with his mouth open and latching on and just being absolutely scared out of my wits. And then I spent the night in a private hospital ward. Before I just thought it was a good idea. I don't know if it was a good idea or not. I just hated it. I hated being on my own. I hated the fact that my partner had left me. I hated the fact that I had this baby next to me. And I didn't want to do anything. I kept ringing the bell. I didn't want to change his nappy. The whole thing just absolutely terrified the life out of me. I still wasn't sleeping. He was a very, very, very hungry baby. He likes his milk. He still does now, bless him, in his age 7. But he fed on the hour, every hour, all through the night, 24 hours a day, near enough. So the next day I was discharged, went home, and we were still moving house. So I still had to keep the house tidy. So I was like a woman possessed, keeping the house immaculate because I was desperate to move out. This was the home that my now husband had bought with his ex-wife, and I did not want to bring my child up in that house. I did not feel comfortable, even though we'd spent £35,000 doing the house up. It still wasn't mine, it wasn't ours, and I didn't feel comfortable about that at all. So I was keen to resell the house. So we did eventually resell the house. The house went on the market. So every time someone came around to view the house, I had the baby latched onto me. Had to keep the house completely tidy. And by now I'd started being quite manic. I started forgetting things. I started repeating myself. My husband noticed quite a bit of difference in me. And then 3 weeks in, I just felt like I couldn't cope anymore. So 3 weeks into having Bailey, I felt like I was falling off the edge of a cliff. And I remember saying to my husband, the now husband, that I literally felt like I was falling off the edge of a cliff. And then within a couple of days I was hospitalised with postnatal psychosis. So to cut a long story short, a couple of months after that, you can read my blog. I mean, the story is pretty horrendous, and I remember it all. I remember it was a living nightmare. But to cut a long story short, 4 months after that, I then lost my twin sister. So she was on ICU, and for the couple of months leading up to Christmas, we were back and forth with the family to the hospital to see her every day. I still was completely unwell, not mentally well. I was just like living in a daze. I didn't know what was going on. It just felt like I was just going through the motions. I didn't know how to feel, didn't know how to react. And then they eventually turned off the life support when she was eve before New Year's Eve, so 1 minute to midnight was the official time they turned off her life support. And then it was just horrific, I suppose, for a little while for everybody. But again, I was still in a bit of a daze and didn't really know what was going on. And then I just remember just wanting my life to be normal, wanting to go back to being me, wanting to be the mummy that I'd always wanted to be for my baby. So there's quite a lot of information in between that I do share with you if you're interested in reading my blog. But the main thing is I did get well. I did get back from this. I did recover, and I recovered naturally. And I did this without any medication whatsoever. The hospital forced me to take antipsychotic drugs for 3 weeks, and then I came off of them. I made a decision. I'd lost my sister to antidepressants, and I have my own strong beliefs about medication, and I made a decision that I was going to get well on my own. And I was hallucinating, I was delusional, I was having horrendous nightmares and horrific negative thoughts, and I just turned them round. I turned them into positive ones. I prayed and I begged to be normal, to be me, and I took steps, and I made sure I exercised, and I looked after myself, and within a year I was well. So that's my horrendous story, but there's a good ending to it. So within a year I'd got pretty much back to normal. So the reason for sharing my story with you is that I want to just give hope to people that however horrific life can be sometimes, whatever you're going through, whether it be financially, whether it be emotionally, whether it be mentally, whether it be physically, that it is possible, anything is possible, to turn around. If you just believe, if you have vision and belief, anything is possible. If you put your mind to it, then you can completely turn your life around. So if you want to read some more of my blog and find out a little bit more about me, life's really great at the moment. I've had another little girl. She's 3.5 now. She's fantastic. I did have the birth of my dreams. I had her at home, and it was amazing and wonderful. It couldn't have been any better. It was totally hippie. I had music and candles and lavender oil and gas and air, the lot. So if you want to find out about how things turned out, and hopefully I can give some people some inspiration, some hope. So if things are going pretty terribly in your life, then it's possible to turn it around. I believe anybody can do it. I believe in you, and I believe that anything is possible. So that's me in a nutshell. Claire Hartman from Positive Mind Family, and I hope to connect with you soon. Bye.